worked.
That's right.
It came out of every paycheck. Social Security is not only retirement, but it takes care of your loved ones.
If somebody doesn't do something to trying to protect this program, it's not going to be there.
Lifeline eligibility.
Social Security has given me a life of dignity.
Happy 90 years!
At 90, it's as youthful as it ever was.
It's our next two pictures.
The moral measure.
We earned it! We earned it!
Please welcome columnist for AARP The Magazine and best-selling author, Jean Chatzky.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. I'm so honored to be here alongside so many who believe in the power and the promise of Social Security, a promise that says, after a lifetime of hard work, you deserve security and dignity. You know, as someone who has spent decades helping people make sense of their money, I have learned that financial security is not just about the numbers in your bank account. It's about peace of mind. It's about knowing that no matter what life throws at you, there is a foundation beneath your feet. 90 years ago, Social Security was created to be exactly that foundation. And today it is not just supporting the generation that it was designed for. It's lifting children out of poverty through survivor benefits, providing crucial support when disability strikes, and giving working families the confidence to plan for their futures. AARP has collected voices, everyday people, retirees, sharing what Social Security means in their lives. Together, today we gather those stories together to reflect, to honor, to recommit to making sure that Social Security continues to work for all generations. And now I have the privilege of sharing the stage with someone who's not only leading AARP, but deeply invested in building the future of Social Security. Dr. Myechia Minter-Jordan, under her leadership, AARP is working hard to ensure that Social Security is here for another 90 years. Dr. Jordan, thank you so much for your work, your wisdom, and your vision.
I love the way this room looks, and I'm so excited to see all of these red shirts. It's really, really energizing. So thank you, Jean, and good afternoon to everyone who is here in Washington, D.C., and for those of you who are joining us virtually across the country. I think the last I heard was there were about 11,000 people potentially joining us or more. So we are in great company today. We're here not only to celebrate the 90 years of Social Security, we're here to celebrate each and every one of you. There are so many of you here and online who deserve the credit for ensuring that Social Security remains strong. If you are a staff member, please stand. And if you're online, give an emoji in the chat, please. All right, fabulous. Our incredible staff. If you are a member of our Capitol Hill Strike Force, please stand or give us an emoji in the chat. I don't know of any other organization that can claim a strike force. That's absolutely incredible. If you are, let's see, if you are a Social Security storyteller here today to share your story, please stand. We look forward to hearing from each and every one of you. If you are an AARP partner amplifying our voices and our impact, please stand. I also know that there are a handful of amazing super Social Security volunteers that are here today in recognition of their exceptional dedication to our mission across the country, and I'd ask that you also please stand. So as you take a look around the room and in the chat online, please know that I am inspired by each and every one of you. Your activism, your energy, and your determination is absolutely outstanding. Thank you for your advocacy, for your partnership, your hard work, your volunteer efforts, and most of all, thank you for your commitment for ensuring that America's most important and most successful social program is protected and strengthened for the next 90 years and beyond. This is a remarkable moment, not just because we've reached an important milestone in the history of Social Security, but because we're actually doing it together, both here and online, as a community committed to ensuring that Social Security continues to serve future generations. Over the last 90 years, and over the last 90 days, AARP has been listening to America, and I would say, quite frankly, since our inception. Today, we're bringing those voices together to celebrate a birthday and to recommit ourselves to protecting this essential promise that was made to each of us as we moved into the workforce, to our children and to our grandchildren. I had the chance to sit down with several AARP members earlier this summer who came to Washington, D.C. to share their story of what Social Security means to them. For Doug in Minnesota, he reminded me that it's the money that he's paid into since his first paycheck 50 years ago, and that it will be there for him when he needs it. And for Tom in Kentucky, it means a lifeline to critical, essential coverage of his essential needs. And they're not alone. For nearly 69 million Americans, Social Security isn't just one source of income, it is security. It's the difference between choosing to pay for medication or to pay for groceries, between staying in your home or moving, between worrying or resting at night. It's dignity, it's earned, and it's vital. So let me share some additional numbers that tell a story of what the impact has been of our program, Social Security. Social Security payments have injected $1.4 trillion into the national economy every year. $1.4 trillion. 43% of seniors aged 65 and over get half or more of their income from Social Security. So that's almost half. 21% get at least 90% of their income from Social Security. And without Social Security payments, more than 37% of residents 65 and older would live in poverty. With payments, 10.1% do. So for decades, AARP has been conducting surveys tracking public opinions about Social Security, how people view its role in retirement, the importance to future generations, and the challenges that Americans face in saving for the future. The latest opinion survey that was released in July was the 5th conducted by AARP in this century. The numbers confirm what we already know. Americans still consider Social Security to be one of America's most important initiatives. In fact, 85% of people 50 plus say that it is essential, not helpful, essential. These aren't just statistics. They represent millions of American families who can live with dignity because Social Security works as it was intended. AARP has stood shoulder to shoulder with the American people in defending Social Security. We fought against cuts with your help. We've advocated for improvements with your help. And we've never wavered in our belief that Social Security is not just good policy, it is a moral imperative. Over the last 90 days, our teams have been in communities across America. And when I've seen this film or iterations of it, I'm absolutely blown away by what we've been able to accomplish with everyone in this room and online across our country. We've been listening to stories, understanding concerns, and amplifying your voices and your stories. From town halls in Iowa to community centers in California, from teletown halls that are reaching thousands of AARP members to intimate community conversations, we've heard the same message. We must strengthen and protect Social Security. From these conversations, from every event, every story, every voice raised, we've created something truly powerful, our wall of support. You should be seeing this now, which is amazing. This digital mosaic represents the faces and the voices of AARP members and activists from every corner of America who have taken the time to tell us what Social Security means to them. Every face tells a story. Stories of teachers who could retire with dignity after decades in the classroom. Stories of factory workers who knew when they could stop working because they knew when their Social Security benefits that they have earned would be there for them. Stories of small business owners who could finally close their shops and enjoy their golden years. Stories of couples who could afford their medications and keep their homes because Social Security provides that foundation of security. This wall isn't just a collection of images. It's proof that Social Security has a reach and an impact that goes beyond what we expect and goes beyond what we have put into this program. It is a lifeline for people in our country, and this is proof of that. It's evidence that Social Security matters to real families and real communities across our country. And it's a powerful reminder to our policymakers in Washington that when they are debating the future of Social Security, they're not debating numbers on a spreadsheet. They're debating the lives and the livelihoods of their constituents. Now, I want to be direct with you about the challenges ahead. As we know, Social Security faces funding pressures that require our attention and our action. By 2035, more than 82 million people are projected to rely on Social Security, roughly 13 million more than rely on it today. But here's what I know. Every challenge we face is solvable. We have options, we have solutions, and quite frankly, we have all of you. And what we need to continue is this political will to act. So I urge you to continue to make your voices heard in your communities, in your workplaces, in your state legislators, in your state legislatures, on Capitol Hill, in the White House, in the media. Without you, we cannot win. With you, we cannot lose. For 90 years, Social Security has never missed a payment, and Americans should have confidence that it never will. AARP will continue to be your advocate in Washington and in states across the country. Together, with you, we will continue to push the solutions that strengthen Social Security while protecting the money that you have earned. I know these t-shirts say, "We earned it." That was what we were chanting in our video in New York, and that is what we believe, and we know that we've earned it. And while we will never stop fighting for the principle that after a lifetime of hard work, you deserve dignity and security in your retirement. The stories that we'll hear today are not just testimonials. They're reminders of why this work matters. They're reminders that behind every policy debate is someone's grandmother, someone's parent, someone's child, someone's future. That's who we're fighting for, and that's why we will never give up. Now, let's hear from one of our storytellers. First up, we have Burton from South Carolina. She's retired, even though she works a few hours a week as a substitute teacher. She uses her Social Security to pay for groceries, rent, and insurance. And let's hear what she has to say.
Social Security is so important to me because it's my income. I mean, I do work part-time as a substitute teacher, but that won't get me very far. I don't know what I would do without it. Yes, I have some small savings, but we're not going to both be able to work forever. And we need our Social Security. We depend on it. I don't know how I would survive. I mean, I've paid into this all my life. I expect it to be there.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
I'm happy to be here today.
It's incredible to have you here, and thank you for sharing your story. So I understand you moved from New York to South Carolina to be near your parents. What role does Social Security play in your family's day-to-day life?
It pays for my food, my housing, my insurance, my medical, my day-to-day expenses.
Yeah. That's really, I mean, it's the essentials of life. As we were
Absolutely.
talking about. Exactly. And having experienced firsthand how important Social Security is, what message would you send to the people making decisions about its future?
It has to be there for us, and it must be fully funded, because it's not only just for us, it's for those people who, as you said, lose a spouse, become disabled.
Yeah.
So it must be there.
Yeah.
It's a promise.
That's right. That's right.
It's
And we earned
absolutely a
it.
promise.
That's right. You've earned it. So Lisa, as someone who's worked and paid into Social Security your entire year, what would you want younger workers to know about why Social Security matters, not just for retirees like you, but for working families today?
Well, as I said, it's not just for retirees.
Yeah.
It's for people who become disabled, and it's also for people who lose a spouse, so they have a lifeline.
Yeah. And as you think about
Future.
this younger generation, we know that they're worried
They
about whether
are.
or not Social Security would be there for them. What would you say to them?
Don't worry, because AARP's got your back.
I love that. I love that. Thank you. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Going to go to some questions from both our audience and our online audience. We've got mic runners in the audience, and let me see where we're going to begin. I think we're beginning over here with Jamie. Do you have the first question?
All right.
And please just tell us who you are and where you're from.
Hi, my name is Lelia Gibson Green, and I am from Colorado Springs, Colorado. I am an AARP storyteller, but I'm also a state volunteer for Colorado Springs, Colorado. And as a cancer survivor, I had no insurance and I had no income. And so Social Security is my lifeline, and I paid into it for over 40 years. So my question is, how can we get the lawmakers to encourage them to help us with Social Security?
Thank you for the question. First, let me say thank you for being here. Thank you for being a volunteer with AARP and for all of the years that you spent teaching. It's really incredible to have you here. First and foremost is being here in this room, testifying to others about your experience, about why you believe Social Security is important to you. Being able to tell those stories to our legislators, because they want to hear from real people. They want to understand what's happening in their communities, and being able to make sure that you're part of the conversation within your communities, advocating to your legislators, talking about the importance of Social Security is where we begin. It's not where we end, but it's where we begin. And I think there are some incredible stories in this room that we will continue to share. But I'd love to hear from you. Do you think that what else do you think we should be doing?
Oh, gosh. You're doing so much. You're doing so much already. I certainly, just a person like me, doesn't have the brain trust that AARP does. But, I mean, just get out there and talk to them and let them know that it's their parents, their grandparents, and their families that benefit from Social Security.
I'm so incredibly proud of the activists that we've had both here in the room and around the country that have written letters, that have sent their personal stories. And through those actions, we've been able to make real change. And so continue to do that, continue to advocate. And I think every person matters, but as a collective, we're even stronger. So that's the goal.
Always.
Thank you for the question.
Yeah. Let's take another one from the room.
I'm Reed Eldridge from McLean, Virginia, and I was wondering, what steps can we take to compel Congress to strengthen Social Security before its projected shortfall in 2034?
Bill Sweeney is sitting right next to you. Maybe he can handle that.
Well, thank you, and I'm happy to answer this question. And I think, from my perspective, I think it is really important that we continue to raise, to the point that was made earlier, that we raise this issue, how important it is for so many people in this country who rely on Social Security and who need it, to make sure that Congress understands that they cannot afford not to act, right? And I think that as we get closer to the deadline in 2034, we need to continue to raise that pressure on Congress to make sure they understand just how critical Social Security is for their communities, and for so many of you in the room and so many people around the country who rely on this. And so we're going to continue to raise those voices and knock on those doors and go into those meetings and make sure that they understand that they've got to act.
Thank you so much. Reshma, what do we have coming in from online?
Sure, and hi, and thank you to everyone who is joining us online from around the country. We received a lot of comments and questions around Social Security's customer service. So I'm going to share one comment and then a question around that topic. So the comment from Anne from Colorado says, my question has to do with the time it takes to get someone on the phone. Wait times can be as much as 2 or 3 hours. Phone appointments are harder to make, and some people don't have internet access at home. It would be helpful if every city or county had offices to go to help you file online if you prefer that way. So the question, and I'm going to turn to John Hishta to help answer this one, is around Social Security's customer service. What are you at AARP doing to help convince the politicians who may be gutting employees from Social Security offices that this will mess with Social Security?
So every day we team up with Bill's team as well as everybody in the room and folks from around the country to diligently have conversations and really press the Social Security Administration to cut down on wait time.
Beautiful voice.
Oh, sorry. Let me start again. So every day we pressure the Social Security Administration to cut down on wait times, to answer their phone, to make sure those offices are available to folks so that they can get appointments and that they don't have to travel around the country. We've run a very extensive campaign over this past year and doing just that, and we've had some victories. We've forced the administration to make sure that they didn't close certain offices, so folks didn't have to spend a whole day trying to get to a Social Security office. We continue to put pressure on them to reduce those wait times because it doesn't do us any good if somebody can't get an answer to a question they need answered with related as it regards to Social Security. So we've been able to work with our members of Congress who are also very concerned about this, and they want to make sure that the administration knows how important it is that customer service is first and foremost in their minds. And I know that we'll continue to do so as we go forward over the next several weeks and months.
Yeah, thank you so much. John, Reshma, do you have another one?
Yes, we've gotten a lot of online questions. The next one is for Bill. It's a very timely question around the shutdown. So Robert from Illinois asks, if the government were to shut down next month, will I still get my Social Security check?
And the easy answer is yes. So we are dealing with a Congress that is struggling to get things done for next week, right? And I think when we think about 2034, if they can't figure out how to fund the government by next week, what are they going to do for 2034? But if the government does shut down, the good news is that Social Security is mandatory funding. It's not part of the appropriations every year. So the Social Security checks will still come through, and people will still be able to count on that as they have for 90 years. It's never missed a payment in 90 years, and we're going to fight every single day to make sure it never does.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Do we have another question from the room? Right here. Sure.
So, good afternoon. My name is Opal Elliott. I'm a member of the AARP Strike Force, a new member, and I'm a proud member of AARP Virginia. I live in Falls Church, Virginia.
Well,
and my question is, older Americans are preyed upon by scammers. How is AARP helping older Americans stay safe from Social Security scams?
So the first thing I'll say is you should never answer a phone call, a text, or an email from any government agency, because I guarantee you that's a scam. Full stop. So that's my public service announcement as it relates to scamming in the room. Having said that, we have a Social Security resource page that people can go to where they can learn about how to protect themselves, as well as our Fraud Watch Network, which also has a whole series of tools and resources to make sure you protect yourself from scams and from folks around the country who do scams.
fantastic. One more from online.
Yes, and Jean, I think this one's actually for you.
Lucky me.
So we've received a lot of questions around claiming and when to start collecting Social Security. And so I'm going to read you one of the specific questions we received. So it'd be great if you can kind of answer that, but also give some general advice.
Sure.
So this question is from William from Florida, and he asks, will I still be able to start collecting Social Security at 62? I'm retired and I plan on starting to collect next year.
So, William, the answer is yes, you'll be able to start collecting next year. But let's make sure that you really want to start collecting next year. There's a big benefit, if you can, to delaying that claiming decision. For every year, typically, that you and everybody else waits to claim Social Security from age 62 to about age 70, you get a bump in benefits equal to about 8% a year. And it's really, really tough to beat that return in any other way. So if you need to put food on the table, of course you claim Social Security. But if there are other sources of income that you could draw from in the interim while delaying that decision, pushing it down the road just a bit, your wallet will really thank you in the future.
Great.
And I think we have time for one more in the room.
Good evening, everyone. Hello. My name is Joe Pons, and I am a Washington, D.C. Capitol Hill Strike Force volunteer. My question is, do you think the tax on Social Security benefits will eventually be eliminated for everyone?
Wouldn't that be nice?
Bill, would you like to tackle that one?
So this is one we've been working on for a long time in the states, where states have taxed Social Security benefits. We're now at only 8 states left that still tax people's Social Security benefits, and we're fighting to get rid of that tax in those 8 states as well. At the national level, there is a new tax deduction that went into effect, that will go into effect next year, up to $6,000. It's a bonus deduction for people over the age of 65 to help offset that tax on Social Security, to try to make that a little bit less onerous. What we know is that they did this back in 1983, and they set it at $25,000, which they said were high earners. You think you're a high earner if you make $25,000? And back then, it only affected 10% of people paid the tax. Today, it's 40% and growing. Almost half now are paying that tax. And so we want to make sure that fewer people are paying that, and that we work with Congress to try to get that back to a place where it's only hitting the really high earners, if we're going to have that tax at all. So thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you so much. Next, we're going to welcome Verel Johnson of Pompano Beach, Florida. Like many Americans, Verel has faced unexpected medical expenses that impacted her retirement planning. Today, Social Security provides the cornerstone of her retirement security. Let's take a look at her story.
The only funds, the only income I have is my Social Security. 20% cut would affect me tremendously. I would not be able to afford this place where I live. And many people I talk to in my community that are stressed out about it because they're very unsure what's going to happen next. How will I pay my rent? How will I buy groceries? How will I get my prescriptions? In your older years, these are things we should not be worried about, because you know what? We prepared for it. It's supposed to be there as an investment for me. That is the only funds, the only income I have is my Social Security. It was taken before we got our paycheck with a promise that it will be there, and it should be there.
Well said. So thank you again for joining us and for sharing your story. So you've experienced firsthand how life can change due to health challenges.
Yes.
What did it mean to you to know that Social Security was there for you as a reliable foundation during such a difficult period?
It made me confident that I can still live independently and that I will be able to meet my needs. Enough. I don't want the extra. So all bills are paid. I can sleep safely at night. confidently, and that was enough for me, and that I could have my social circles around me and just continue living healthy, considering what I had overcome.
Yeah.
Each day is a gift for me.
Yeah, it's a gift for all of us, and I really appreciate that. That sense of independence because you have financial stability is critical. I've heard that from members around the country. Tell me what you're hearing in your community about people who are stressed and unsure about Social Security.
It's really, I volunteer in the community, and to see older Americans feeling depressed and insecure about how am I going to live next year if they cut Social Security 20%? I don't want to live with my siblings. Some do not have siblings, or my children, you know? And so what I try to do is educate them. And AARP has great information. I'm able to share pamphlets with them. Those who have access to the internet, I gave them the web address, and I share information and told them whatever you see from AARP, AARP is our advocate, and they are nonpartisan.
That's right.
And whatever goes out there is fact-checked, so you don't have to listen to misinformation or disinformation.
Yeah, thank you for that. You've said it better than anyone else. I appreciate that. And I think highlighting the fact that we are a nonpartisan organization is critically important. And we know that Social Security doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. It's important to all of us as America they can do.
Oh, absolutely. What I do as a speaker for AARP, I empower, I educate first. And AARP, the videos, the PowerPoint presentations, they are so concise and crisp and clear. It's very easy for anyone to absorb. Also, the handouts that we give them, that they can take home and independently with a cup of tea or coffee, they can go through, digest, and make decisions about making phone calls to their elected officials. I remind them, we are retirees, we have the time, we vote, we have time to stand on lines, and so here I'm empowering you and encouraging you that you can go out there and be a voice for the over 50 with Social Security recipients. You go and advocate because there's power in numbers.
Yes, I love that. Well, again, you're hitting all the right points. The fact that people can take the time out and make the phone calls, can sit, write an email, write a letter. You're giving folks all the tools and resources that they need to be empowered, and we thank you for your leadership. Thank you so much. So let's take some questions.
Take some more questions. I've lost track of my mic runners, but here they are. Who's got a question? Right here? Excellent.
Hi, I'm Robin Gillette. I live in Washington, D.C., and I'm a member of the Capitol Hill Strike Force. And my question is for you, Dr. Myechia.
Yes.
What makes the 90th anniversary milestone so important?
Thank you for the question. There are a number of things that make it important. First, thank you for the question, for being part of the strike force, for all of the work that you do to make sure that people understand the importance of Social Security. It marks an important celebration for the country to be able to say we've had this program, America's Promise, for 90 years, and that we've never missed a paycheck. And so this opportunity to celebrate this important milestone, as we celebrate all milestones in our lives, all birthdays, this is an important one for us to both bring visibility to the importance of the program, but also to bring visibility to the issue around, will it be there for us in totality by 2034-35? We want to make sure that we're raising this issue of solvency, raising the issue of ensuring that the benefits remain the same, that we have 100% of what we earned are paid out to us as we've earned it when we are ready for retirement. So this is an opportunity for us to celebrate, to bring visibility, and to continue the fight, and to become energized by all of the energy in this room and online as we recognize this 90th and know that we want this program to be there for us for 90 plus years into the future. So I appreciate the question. And again, thank you for all that you're doing.
Thank you so much. How about another one from the room? Anybody? Yes, right here.
Hi, I'm Beverly Rollins Vander High. I live in Maryland now, but I'm originally from West Virginia. And I just want to start by saying I'm actually retired from the Social Security Administration. So I have met firsthand people who can't live without their Social Security. I have firsthand experience with that. And I really feel old today because when I was in the a claims rep, we were celebrating the 50th anniversary. So my question is, what are the politically feasible solutions for strengthening the Social Security trust funds?
Bill, John?
I could start and I'll let Bill chime in. I mean, ultimately, that's up to the politicians themselves and the members of Congress and the president. They have to show the leadership and the courage to come to the table and figure out a way to make sure that the program is fully funded. And it's going to be incumbent upon us to help you all continue to be motivated to bring pressure to bear on those members of Congress and the Senate and the president in order to make the right decisions by 2034. The great news is, we need to remind people, just this year alone, we took 3 million actions and delivered those to Congress. So that's 3 million people in the country who took it upon themselves to take action, who are AARP members, and we need to continue to grow that army so that by 2034 it is overwhelming. So I would encourage folks to go to the website, aarp.org/weearnedit. Encourage your neighbors and your friends and your colleagues to do it, and we'll get the right amount of pressure on Congress to do the right thing, as I like to say.
Fantastic. Reshma, what are the folks saying online?
Yep, and again, thank you to all the people who are tuning in online. We're going to start with a question for Bill from Stephen from Virginia, and he's asking, will you please explain the new $6,000 tax deduction?
Yeah, so in this, in the tax law that was just passed, it included what's called a bonus deduction for seniors. It's $6,000. It starts next year. It goes through 2028, and it is really $6,000, an extra deduction. It's not refundable, so but it is a little extra money in your pocket. It starts to phase out for individuals who file single at $75,000 in income, and it phases out for married couples at $150,000, and it's completely phased out around $250,000 for married couples. So, it really is targeted toward middle-class folks who are getting hit by that tax on Social Security benefits, and again, trying to put a little bit of extra money in people's pockets to offset that.
Fantastic. One more?
Yeah, thank you, Bill. We've gotten a lot of comments and questions, I would say in the category of what we can do, kind of about advocacy. And so I'm going to read a couple of these comments. The first from Doris from California. She says, I have several friends who rely heavily on Social Security checks to survive. They were hardworking, responsible people who led decent but ordinary lives and counted on Social Security to help them in their older years. I'm very worried about them. AARP, please fight for all of those innocent people who deserve their hard-earned Social Security. Julie from YouTube says, I'm 48 years old. I plan to work for another 25 years. Are my Social Security benefits even going to exist? And am I even going to see my Social Security I earned when I retire? My generation is really scared. So, and I think, John, this is a question for you. We have a question from Sharon from Michigan, which again, it's emblematic of a lot of the questions we received. When do we begin to panic? Some days I'm encouraged Social Security will be safe. Other days I wonder.
Well, we're going to do everything we can in our power here at AARP to make sure she never has to panic, because it's going to be our job to work with folks, not just in this room, but around the country, to organize and motivate and increase the number of folks who can continue to put that type of pressure that I talked about on Congress, the Senate, and the President of the United States. Older folks vote. Members of Congress know that. And we're going to make sure we stay diligent until the program is fully funded for the next generation, so that Sharon, who's 48, can rely on it when she wants to retire as well.
I love that we have people at 48 who are paying attention, who are tuning in, who are concerned. It's a really helpful sign. And now those 48-year-olds need to get out there and volunteer as well. How about another question from the room? Anybody over on this side? Jamie's getting lonely. And over here, right, we've got one. Susan. Wait for the mic, please. Thanks.
I'm Don Barron. I'm a retired educator from Montgomery County, Maryland, and a happy member of the Capitol Hill Strike Force. My question is, some politicians talk about privatizing Social Security or creating individual accounts. What's our position on these proposals and what would they mean for us today and in the future?
We'll turn to Bill for that one.
Well, we are absolutely opposed to privatizing Social Security. It goes without saying, but we are opposed to that. And look, the truth is people tried to do that back in the early 2000s. And in 2008, when the stock market crashed, if the Social Security had been privatized and it was in private accounts, millions of seniors would have lost everything. And that's why we can never let that happen. We need to make sure that Social Security is there. It is a promise. And we need to make sure that it is there and it is solid, rock solid for everybody going forward. And we're never going to back off from that commitment.
Fantastic. Reshma.
Sure. I have a question for another YouTube question. Douglas from YouTube. And I think this is a question for either Bill or John. Social Security absolutely should be protected. What is AARP doing to promote any elimination of waste, fraud, and abuse in the system?
Well, any waste, fraud, and abuse in the system is bad, period. And so our colleagues in government affairs, as well as folks at AARP, continue to make sure that when we talk to the Social Security Administration, we encourage them to eliminate all of that, while at the same time making sure that customer service is top of mind as well. Because we know that there's very little waste, fraud, and abuse in the system, but any waste, fraud, and abuse is bad. So we want to make sure, though, that customer service is top of mind so that people can get the answers they need.
Yeah, great answer.
Fantastic. Let's go to the room for one more, and then Reshma will come back to you. Anybody here? Right back here. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kim Thomas. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I flew in. My arms are so tired. My question is, how can we get more 48-year-olds and 50-year-olds involved?
Myechia, would you like to take that?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's a great question. Part of what I think is really important is that every person in this room and online speaks to that younger person in their family, whether that's a friend or someone in the community, to talk about your experience with Social Security, why it's important to you. So part of what is really important is for us to be able to talk to one another, talk to our family members, and talk to them about it earlier, because we know, and we'll talk about this in a moment when we have our third storyteller come up, but this is an important thing. You cannot wait until you're 50, 60 to think about retirement. We need to start thinking about that much earlier. And so being able to share, and we learned so much from our elders about how do we think about these things, what's important to us, what are the things that we should be advocating for is critically important. So I would start there, as well as really help people to understand that pre-retirement planning is critical, and that Social Security is going to be a significant part of that. And so sharing that experience, sharing all of our experiences is where we begin, but then also, again, getting into a deeper conversation about how should we all be thinking about retirement, understanding that it's going to come sooner than we think, and it's important for us to start that planning early. Thank you for the question.
Yeah, thank you very much. One more from online.
Sure. And Dr. Myechia, I think this is a question for you. It's from Sandy from Maryland, and she asks, as someone who's been paying into Social Security my whole career, I want to know, what's your personal commitment to ensuring it'll be there when I retire in 15 years?
Well, I may be in the same boat, so it is very, very significant. I am committed. AARP is committed, as it has been since our inception, and we will continue to fight. And as I mentioned earlier, we can't do this fight alone. It really requires everyone in this room, online, our extended communities, to be in this, to be able to share our stories, to be able to uplift the importance of Social Security is really the backbone of retirement. And as we've already heard, for some people, it's the sole source of retirement income. So we just need to be able to do that together, but collectively and individually, we are committed. As AARP and myself as an individual, completely committed. Thank you for the question.
Thank you for all the questions, both online and in the room. Our next storyteller is Steve Porter from Scottsdale, Arizona. Steve worked hard to build his retirement savings, but Social Security remains an integral part of his financial security. What makes Steve's perspective particularly valuable is his concern for younger generations. Let's take a look.
My first job was when I was 16. I was old enough to be hired at the local McDonald's when hamburgers were still 15 cents. So I started paying into Social Security about 58 years ago. Social Security is important to me. Yes, I was able to build up a nest egg over the years that I could survive, but it is an integral part of my income, and it covers things like food, electricity, auto maintenance, little things that most people find necessary to live. Social Security needs to be protected because we've already got younger generations that have been paying into the system for anything from 5 to 35, 45 years. Frankly, most of the people are not going to retire with several $1 million in their bank account. These are people that are living out there paycheck to paycheck, knowing that they've got a little bit of money set aside through the programs that are set up by the federal government.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. You clearly know the value of Social Security, and you mentioned younger individuals. So what would you tell a 30 or 40-year-old as they're thinking about their retirement, or if they're not thinking about their retirement, why would you tell them, or how would you explain to them the importance of Social Security and why it's so important for them to start thinking about it at an earlier point in their life?
I'd suggest, first of all, I know exactly what you're going through. At 30, 40 years old, I was living paycheck to paycheck and really had no idea if I would make it this far. If I've made it, trust me, you can too. But the point being, it's going to be important to you. It may not be everything that you need, but it is a good foundation for what you're trying to accomplish. And start now.
Thank you. Yeah, so important. So if you were sitting in a room with members of Congress right now, only on the topic of Social Security,
of course,
what would you want them to understand about Social Security and why it matters, not just for you, but for all Americans?
Social Security was set up 90 years ago as a promise that money that we put in now will be there for us when we retire. The United States government is the financial institution that's guaranteeing this money. The elected officials that are there today are merely representatives of that institution. And if they fail to uphold this promise, what other guarantee that they've made to American citizens, to the world, are they going to disregard?
Thank you. That's incredibly powerful from your mouth to their ears. Steve, you mentioned that Social Security covers essential expenses like food, electricity, automotive expenses. What would you want people to understand about how Social Security fits into a secure retirement, even for someone who was able to save?
Saving is part of it. Social Security is certainly going to be part of it. If you can invest, investment is also going to be a portion of it, assuming the stock market doesn't crash again. And historically, we know it's not if, but when. But it's the foundation for everything that you do. It's the promise that I'm not living on the street. I don't have to move in with my children or my grandchildren, that I have something that I can count on, even if it's just bare minimum. I'm going to live with some dignity. I get to remain in my home. I've joked with my kids that I'm going to be a burden on them, but I'd really prefer not to.
There's a theme here of everyone wanting to not live with the kids and the siblings.
We've seen how they live.
Well, I appreciate it. And I really want to reinforce, and we're kind of going back to the beginning of when we first sat down with our first storyteller, of this sense of independence, of being able to retain your independence and to have that dignity and respect that we all deserve as we move into the retirement phase of life. So thank you for sharing that.
Well, thank you for having me.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, Myechia. Thank you to all of our storytellers for sharing your experiences with us. And a big thank you as well to all the great questions that came in from the room, the audiences both in person and online.
All right. Thank you so much. Ready? All right, let's do it.
All of these stories remind us that AARP isn't just a wise friend offering guidance. We're also a fierce defender, advocating on your behalf every single day. For more than 2 decades, the person that I'm about to introduce has been leading that fight. Nancy LeaMond has been AARP's Executive Vice President and Chief Advocacy and Engagement Officer since 2013. But her commitment to older Americans spans her entire career. Under her leadership, AARP's advocacy team has fought off attempts to privatize Social Security, defended Medicare from cuts, and consistently pushed for policies that put people over politics. Nancy understands that advocacy is not just about being loud. It's about being smart, strategic, and relentless. She has built coalitions, shaped legislation, and made sure that the voices of AARP's 38 million members are heard in Washington and every corner of the country. To talk about advocacy and what comes next in our fight to protect and strengthen Social Security, please welcome Nancy LeaMond, AARP's Executive Vice President and Chief Advocacy and Engagement Officer.
Well, thank you so much. That was so nice. I appreciate it, and I want to thank Gene Chatzky, who not only is with us today, but has helped us in so many of our efforts across the country over the last few years, and also Dr. Minter Jordan, who has not only been here today and led us, but is the force behind this incredible effort, not only on Social Security, but on the range of issues that affect older Americans. Today is so important. It wraps up not just our 90 days across the country, but so much of the work we've been doing over the last few years and are going to begin anew as we move into later this year and early next. But I want to take a minute to thank everyone who has shared their stories, asked questions, and been online tuning in to help us. I'm an advocate, so you can be sure I'm going to ask for more by the end of my remarks. On behalf of all Americans who depend on Social Security today and everyone who's counting on it to be there in the future, I do want you to know how grateful we are for your engagement and your commitment to this cause. AARP, as many people have mentioned, has been leading the fight to protect Social Security for more than 60 years. We were there in the 1970s pushing to make the COLA automatic, and we were there when Congress overhauled the program in 1983. We've defeated privatization attempts and fought cuts to the money you've earned. This is more than policy work for us. I think you all can tell as you listen to us how personal it is, not just for our volunteers, but also for our intrepid staff, both here and across the country. We know that Social Security is strong, needs to be strong, and that families are going to be strong as a result. And when Social Security is secure, our entire economy is more secure. Let me tell you a little bit about what we've accomplished this year, though I think you heard some already. When the Social Security Administration announced a major policy shift that would have required online or in-person visits to already understaffed Social Security offices, you know them well having worked there, AARP was at the forefront fighting changes that would make the agency's customer service crisis even worse. Thanks to our efforts, all of you who sent emails and signed petitions helped us reverse Social Security's decision. This victory preserved phone access for Social Security customers who otherwise would have had no other way to get information on the services they need. We accomplished this with an all-of-the-above approach that included engagement with the Social Security Administration leadership, talking to every member of Congress, and talking to the White House. We did detailed research and policy analysis, and most importantly, we mobilized millions, if you can think of it, of AARP members just like you. AARP has also been successful keeping benefit cuts off the table in congressional budget discussions, and this isn't very easy to do. But we've managed to push back against misleading narratives about Social Security solvency. To mark Social Security's 90th anniversary in August, we held celebrations all over the country. I think you saw the video at the beginning. We were at state fairs, we were at block parties, most importantly, we were at baseball games everywhere, highlighting Social Security's importance in collecting stories that made up our wall of support. And you saw a little bit of that wall earlier. None of this would have been possible without all of you. And when we stand together, we are impossible to ignore. One thing is crystal clear from today's conversation: the American people understand the value of Social Security, and they want to see it protected. And our job is to do that. 90 years ago, a system that allowed people to retire with dignity after a lifetime of work was a bold idea. Today, it is the foundation, as so many of you have mentioned, the foundation of retirement security in this country. And that's why we're laser focused on making sure Social Security endures stronger than ever for another 90 years and beyond. Here's the advocate in me. AARP can't do this alone. We need all of you in this room, and we need everybody who's tuning in online, and we need even more than that. We need your voices. We need you to contact elected leaders and tell them that Social Security is more than a budget item. It's a promise that must be kept. And if you haven't already, please join our We Earned It campaign. Now, we're going to personally buttonhole everybody in this room before you can get out and go to our refreshments. But for those of you online, please, please take a minute, join with us, go to the website. Somebody mentioned earlier the importance of reaching out to younger people, and I want you to know we understand that. I personally am going to do my part this weekend. I'm going to negotiate with my 4-year-old grandchild so that he wears a T-shirt. Now, he hasn't earned it yet, but so that he wears a T-shirt on Halloween and conveys to everybody he goes to the importance of Social Security. Right? Right now he's focused on being a baseball umpire, but I think I can be persuasive. What we need to do with everybody we engage is urge them to sign the pledge, share your story, because when we speak together, when we act together, we truly can move mountains. We can protect and strengthen Social Security, not only for today, but for our children and for our grandchildren for tomorrow. Thank you all again for being with us today. Thank you for standing with us in this fight. It's ongoing, and it's going to go for a number of years. We need you. Together, we can protect the promise of Social Security. And with that, let me turn the podium back to our moderator, Jean Chatzky.
Thank you, Nancy, as always. Thank you, Myechia. Thank you to all of the incredible storytellers, Lisa, Verel, Steve, and everyone whose voice is represented on AARP's wall of support. When we started this hour together, I talked about Social Security being a promise. It's something that you have heard over and over again today. But what I've learned from listening to all of you is that it is also so much more than that. It is dignity. It is the foundation that allows people to live their lives with security and with hope. For 90 years, Social Security has kept that promise to the American people. And thanks to advocates like Nancy, thanks to leaders like Myechia, thanks to engaged Americans like all of you, AARP is going to make sure that it keeps that promise for the next 90 years and beyond. So thank you so much for joining us today, whether you are here in Washington, D.C., whether you are watching us online. Remember, this is not just about policy. It's about people. It's about families. It's about the kind of country that we want to be. Thank you so much.